This is The Big Conversation on The Breakfast Show here on KBC English Service.
So today we're discussing a subject that sits at the intersection of law, innovation, technology, employment, and the future of the workplace. Oh man, this one is quite an interesting one. Question is simple, but the answer may surprise so many people. Say an employee develops an innovative solution that benefits the employer where this person is working. Who will we say owns that idea? You used the company resources, you came into the building, you used the computer, but yes, the idea did come from your head. But how about collaboration? For years, many organizations have operated on the assumption, call it an assumption, that anything that's created during employment belongs automatically to the employer. Right? Makes sense. However, a landmark Kenyan ruling on technovation, you will learn a brand new word today. Technovation has challenged that assumption, and it's opened up an important national conversation about innovation in the workplace. This case involves an employee who developed a technological solution outside of his formal job description. Okay? Not employed to do that, but somehow genius came up with it. Formally notified his employer. Employer said nothing. The matter eventually made its way through the Industrial Property Tribunal and the appellate process, resulting in a groundbreaking decision that could influence employers, HR departments as well, innovators, and employees all across the country. Help us unpack this issue. Two guests with first-hand knowledge on this matter. First up is the individual whose innovation formed the basis of this landmark case. We shall for now call him a technovator by the name of Sam Ngegi. Good morning to you, Sam.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. I cannot wait to hear this story. Also joining us, innovation law specialist and also the lawyer who successfully argued Sam's case, helping establish what is now considered one of the most significant workplace innovation decisions in the country. We're joined by advocate Kathy Mputhia. Good morning once again.
Good morning, Nick.
Great to have you here again. Have we seen each other this year?
No.
Okay, then Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I was told you have to say it. If I saw you last year, and then I see you this year, I have to say Happy New Year. So great stuff. So we asked our listeners, by the way, guys, if you came up with an innovation and it's transformed your workplace, who would you say owns it? You, your employer, or both? I shall tell you what listeners had to say a little bit later. And the phone lines are open, by the way. You can call us 0725 28 14 28. Kathy, I want to start with you because groundbreaking case. By the way, congratulations. That's great stuff. First of its kind in Kenya and across Africa. But let's first break down this word that I've been saying over and over, technovation. Mm-hmm. What is it, and why does it matter so much?
Okay. Thanks, Nick. So technovation is a type of industrial property right.
All right.
It's a very little known intellectual property right. So the first thing to note, it's provided for in the Act, the Industrial Property Act. Mm-hmm. And that will be part 14 of the Act. So basically, a technovation sort of deviates from normal workplace innovations. And by definition, a technovation is, first of all, a technological solution.
A technological solution.
Right.
Okay.
Then number two, proposed by an employee.
Technological solution that has been proposed by an employee.
Right.
Okay.
And when you talk about proposed by an employee, it has to be in writing. The proposal has to be in writing, right?
Got you.
So technological solution proposed by an employee to an employer for use by the employer. So there has to be like the utility side of it for use by the employer. And then number 4, it has to relate to the activities of the organization. right?
Okay.
Right? Have I lost you?
You come up with a technological solution
Right.
for your workplace, and you do it in writing
Exactly.
to the employer,
Yeah.
and it has to be something that is useful.
Right. It relates
It
to
relates to
the
activities of
of the organization. So the defining factor in a technovation is that your job description is considered in whether or not you get a technovation. So if you are actually hired to innovate, like maybe IT
Okay.
or research and development, you will not get a technovation. But let's say you're like Sam's case, you're an intern and you actually innovate something that is useful for your employer. It relates to those activities, and you do the proposal in writing.
do the proposal in writing.
You qualify.
That's technovation.
Yeah.
How different is it from like what's that thing? A patent.
Okay. So for a patent, so a technovation, there's employment. So a technovation cannot be done by someone who is not
employed.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
A patent, on the other hand, can be done by an independent party. You can be hired by an organization to create something, and you can patent. So that's the distinguishing factor. Another thing, a patent is a very superior IP right in the sense that there has to be novelty. Novelty. So for a patent, it basically they have to check has this been done anywhere else. So it has to go through a novelty test, unlike a technovation, whereby it doesn't have to be completely novel.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I hope I'm not speaking legalese.
No. At least this time round, you learned from the last time. No legalese over here. Wakili Kathy Mputhia in the house. Yeah. We heard from you at 6:45 this morning. Are you still singing? Still selling perfume? Still doing those? No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm sure there are other great things that are taking up your time, especially like this groundbreaking case that you brought to the courts. Let's hear from the man himself. Sam, you are the one who's lived with this. Take us back to the beginning without mentioning the company. I personally know we will keep that one under wraps for now because they do good stuff, but what problem, I am curious, Sam, what problem were you trying to solve? Like what inspired you to develop that solution? Okay. No. Let's start this. First of all, what was your role? What was your job position? Let's start there.
Yes, so thank you, Nick, for that question. Yeah, I was an intern, so my work was to just pass my examinations and be trained.
What? Okay, higher. Intern decides what problem is this that you're trying to solve? Well, what's the inspiration behind it?
You know, when I was employed by this employer who we are calling X.
Yes, employer X.
Yeah, I was still very young, innovative, vibrant, and I wanted to influence change. Wow. So immediately I got employed. I was, we were taken around all operations of the employer.
Okay.
And in fact, this wasn't the first innovation. I had proposed another innovation in another department.
Oh, wow.
But then this became, this was the pain point of the entire organization. So then I decided, let me not work so much on that other innovation. Let me focus on the pain point. So I focused on the pain point to ensure that we transformed my new employer. So I was very optimistic that I'm gonna give my contribution towards the operations of my new employer as a young, vibrant, new employee who was an intern.
Just trying to bring an impact and do something to make the place work more efficiently, right? So I want to believe that even when you were formally notifying the employer, you knew a very good response is going to come through from the employer, and no response came. So what was going through your mind when that happened?
I thought that they were considering my matter, and the response to the Technovision never came along. But by body language, they kept on urging me to explain to them how the innovation worked. So in writing, they never responded, but by body language, they will send teams, task forces to investigate further how the innovation was working.
To just like to have you explain how it works verbally, without having anything in writing. And I bet probably someone was recording you on their phones. They're like, he said this. So, most employees, especially of your level, then they don't know much about labor laws and rights. How difficult, tell me how difficult was the decision that you made that, okay, let me pursue the legal way. Let's go to the courts. How difficult was that decision for you to make?
Maybe, Nick, before we get there, it's important for you to note that there were many things that happened before I made a decision to go to court.
Okay.
First, I was told to appear before an innovation committee that was vetting all innovations. And I did some submissions, and then sometime it was in the news that the innovation had won a global award.
Oh, wow.
So then I went back and asked, what is my fate now that you haven't yet responded to the proposal, but I see we have won a global award. Then that's when my employer told me, stay out of it.
Stay out of it?
Did the award come in your name?
No way.
So then that's when I started sensing that things were bad. So I did communicate to my employer. Then I started seeking for advice. I went back to my alma mater where I had gone to the university. It's a University of Science and Technology. There was an IP office. So I requested for advice from the IP office, and they told me, you have got to stick to the initial communication, seek for clarification. And I asked for clarification. I kept on being taken round and round. Then it got to a point that my employer went to the newspapers and advertised for a tender, and that opened the innovation to the whole, to everybody. And the specifications of the tender were similar and identical to the innovation that I had developed. So,
wow.
So I went back to the intellectual property office and asked for advice. They told me, Sam, this thing has escalated. Unfortunately, if you want to protect this innovation, you have to go to court. And that's when the court process started. But there were correspondences. I tried my level best to reach out to management, to everybody, because I never ever thought that I would take my employer to court. And it was the last resort. Wow. My lawyer now, Kathy, tried also to write to them to request that we have a meeting. But of course, they had already advertised for a tender, and they thought that now they had thrown me under the bus, and it was systems go. So then that's when we made the most difficult decision of going to court, stopping the tender, stopping further development of any identical or similar solution. And we thank God that the court stopped the whole process and the court matter began in earnest.
Your innovation wins a global award. You have told your employer about it. They are not saying anything. And then you go up to them and then they tell you to stay out of it. The award did not come in your name. So they're more or less trying to just own that innovation and be like, but he works here. We are all smart people. We all came up with it. Scary, but I'm glad you managed to find a great advocate in Wakili Kathy Mputhia over here. What were the key issues, Wakili, that the tribunal and the appellate court had to determine with this particular case?
Okay. Thanks for that question. Actually, there are a number of issues, and the first issue was this a technological solution? So, of course, the defense team came up and said no. It was not a technological solution. It was just a concept, it was just an idea. But the distinguishing thing with this case is that there was a prototype. And some got an opportunity to do a live demo of the almost finished solution. So that one, he was able to take that. So that was the first argument. The second one, was he an employee? Because he's an intern.
He's an intern. Yay! Yeah. By the way.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah. So they are like, he's just an intern. He's an apprentice and therefore not an employee. Then we looked at the Employment Act to check what's the definition of an employee.
Okay.
And we found somebody in apprenticeship or internship is actually an employee. And he was covered under that, yeah?
Cool.
So the third thing was, I think it was very clearly had a user value because they won a global award. So there was no defense there, right? But the main fight was about the main line of argument was they had considered this before he came. So the line of defense was, look, we had something going on, something similar or identical before you proposed this to us. So if the court found in their favor, then we wouldn't have gotten a technovation. So we really had to get into the facts of what was going on in that institution regarding this kind of solution. So they fronted something, some papers they had been writing, some concepts they had been writing. And our argument was these were just ideas. The only solution that was proposed is this one
that Sam did.
Yeah. And job description was also very, very key. So we had to look at the letters of employment and try to see what were the job descriptions of an intern. Was there anything about innovation or IT? And we also had to produce his work logs to show this is what I've been working on, basically. So, yeah, basically those were the issues.
Okay, great stuff. I like that. We're 25 minutes into 8 in the morning. Want to take a 2.5? Let's do 2.5 minute break real quick. When we come back, we talk more. We're talking about the law. We're talking about the law vis-a-vis workplace innovations with Advocate of the High Court, Catherine Mputhia, and we have Technovator in the house, Sam Gengi. And when we get back, we're going to hear from members of the public on what their thoughts are on workplace innovations, as well as addressing the question of the day. Some very interesting answers that we shall be sharing with you shortly.
Stay tuned to the big conversation on KBC English Service.
Did you know you can access KBC services at Huduma centers within Nairobi? Matangazo, Signet, and commercial bookings for TV and radio. Now ready, reliable, and closer to you. Yes, your KBC services all in one place. Fast, convenient, and reliable. Visit your nearest Huduma center within Nairobi today and experience a seamless service. Huduma Kenya and KBC, bringing services closer to you. From the coast to the highlands, the city to the countryside, KBC English Service is right where you are. Tune in and stay connected on these frequencies across the country. Nyeri, that includes Muranga, Kirinyaga, Laikipia, and Nyandarua, 100.7 FM. Meru, that includes Nyambene, plus Tarakaniti and Isiolo, 91.5 FM. Nakuru, 96.5 FM. Vuria, that includes Kajiado, Mombasa, Kwale, Makueni, and parts of Tanzania. 98.9 FM. Kitui, 92.9 FM. You can also catch us on your TV through Signet, anytime, anywhere. KBC English Service, telling Kenya's story, one broadcast at a time.
You're listening to The Big Conversation on KBC English Service.
And we're not talking about polygamy. No, we're talking about workplace innovations. We are talking about the law and how it can work in your favor, especially when you come up with a great innovation at your workplace. Who will own it? We're joined by a technovator. This man came up with a solution that helped a company that he was interning at. Hey, I'm curious, by the way. He's a technovator. It's called a technovator. Sam Gengi, real quick, do you still work there?
Technically, yes, but I'm seconded to another institution.
Wait. Okay, all right. So you're like a consultant there now. Wow, look at that. Do not sleep on your ideas. Sam did not. Told the employer went silent, tried to, do him dirty, but he found a good lawyer. Who's also with us in studio. Her name is Catherine Pothia. Took the case to the courts and they succeeded. They did very, very well. I want to play you guys something real quick. Members of the public also weighed in on this debate. We asked them if they ever come up with, with an idea, solution at work that helps their employer. Who gets the recognition? Who gets the rewards? You, them, company, both. Let's take a listen to what members of the public had to say.
My name is Karen Cherono. I develop a simple spreadsheet for monitoring daily operations, which improve efficiency. My employer thanked me, but there was no formal reward.
My name is Eric Kimadi. I suggested organizing staff training sessions to improve service delivery. The idea was adopted and the management recognized my contribution.
I shared an idea for improving customer feedback collection. It helped the company understand clients better, although I did not receive any reward beyond verbal appreciation.
And yes, I did. I recommended posting our products more consistently on social media, and the business gained more inquiries, and I received recognition from my employer.
I noticed customers were asking the same questions repeatedly, so I proposed a frequently asked questions sheet. It improved customer service, but I wasn't formally rewarded.
My name is Vincent Nyaboga. Yes, I did. It was recognized. In our company, I identified unnecessary expenses and proposed cost-saving measures.
Shoutouts to the production team led by Helga, Alice, Horace, Buckley. Thank you for putting together those views from across the country. Wakili, the assumption in most workplaces is that anything an employee creates during employment belongs to the employer. And this case definitely challenged that. We're curious to finding out the correct legal position of this.
Okay, thanks. So that's a correct position. Any innovation that's done during working hours and within the course of job description actually belongs to the employer, right? Yeah. Because you're using the employer's time, the employer's resources yeah. and all that. Now, in some cases, like in the university sector, where there are researchers and all these people, the employer and the employee can contract in terms of ownership. So what we are talking about, technovation, it's a slight deviation from the normal position. And the distinguishing factor is where you are not hired to do whatever you innovated. So normally when you're hired to do that's your job description, then the innovation belongs to
the employer, because they employed you to do exactly what you've just done.
Exactly. But in this case of technovation, the difference is you are not hired to do that. So there are many scenarios. You find like somebody is maybe an accountant and they come up with a technological solution.
There you go.
There's another case actually whereby someone was a customer service officer, but they came up with a prototype. So in those kind of cases is when you get a technovation. So it's all about the JD. Yeah.
So about the job description. Could you explain something to us? I saw this when we were doing our research for this conversation, Section 97 that sets out the 3-month rule that the employer can refuse only if they believe the requirements aren't met, and they must provide reasons.
Yeah.
They can't just ignore something.
Yeah. So Section 97. So once an employee makes a written proposal, then the employer is bound by statute to respond. So the response could be yes, we are going to adopt your innovation. It could be a flat no, we are not going to adopt your innovation. And in that case, the employer cannot use it. Once they say no, it's a no. Yeah, so they cannot say no, then on the other side implement. So a no is a no. The only time the law allows a maybe is whereby the employer still has to test the innovation. So you submit a prototype, make a request for technovation, and they say, okay, give us more time to be able to test some functionalities, but it has to be in writing. So the minute an employer keeps quiet after the 90-day period, then begins to use the technovation, you automatically have a right. Yeah, so where there is gaslighting, ghosting, silence, and then they start using and implementing whatever you proposed, there you have it. It's you get the right automatically.
You take them to the courts.
Yeah.
Sam, groundbreaking innovation outside your job description as an intern. How difficult was it, or rather, how did you approach people with this idea? Like, was it met with friction? How did those conversations go? Because they're like, but you're not here to do this, you're here to do that. Why are you coming to us with this idea?
Yeah, the idea was received with different feelings. One, there were people who thought that I'm just being overly engaging the employer. There were others that were very supportive. Of course, the ones who thought that maybe I'm a Kimbelembele staff are the people who thought we have been here in this organization, we've never seen things change, so you are just an intern, we are the oldies here, then who tells you that you are this reformer? Then there were others that thought that there were many opportunities that will be harnessed with by leveraging on the idea that I was proposing. So there were people who gave me maximum support in terms of data and even insights, and there were also others that were gross. They really discouraged me and told me, you're getting yourself into a corner that you may never be able to get out of.
It's a big organization. You're trying to, hey, what is it that kept you going? What did you get the motivation to keep on going, to keep on fighting for this, for this idea of yours against this huge company?
Nick, this was kind of personal. Why? Because I lost my last-born brother for intellectual property theft.
Oh.
So when he was at the university, he developed this amazing mathematical formula based on the Kepler's laws of planetary motion. And he had a formula of propulsion from Earth to Mars that could assist satellites even comfortably navigate to Mars and come back using the least bogey anomaly. So then when his idea was stolen, it was so bad for him. It's something that he always believed that he will work for NASA, and he had to commit suicide because of that. Whoa. So for me, you understand, you can now understand how deep this was. Very personal. And then I was asking myself, can this be a double jeopardy that I lose my younger brother, then I am also in the same field, and And then, yeah, so, and you see, beyond my younger brother, this is a story that the story of intellectual property theft and infringement is a story that reverberates across Africa and across many countries. You see, Africa was colonized through, around the agrarian and the industrial revolution through theft of raw resources.
This is true.
Now we have the youngest population on earth. The Africa's median age is 19.7 thereabout. So what Africa now in the information age can produce are ideas and innovations. So if then we allow this, then we will be talking about the second colonization of Africa. That then we have the youngest population, what we can provide beyond raw materials. We are in the information age. Definitely it's innovations and young ideas. So then what are we talking about? So I looked at my young brother, I looked at myself, then said, oh my goodness, this thing, I have to fight it to my grave.
Absolutely. And condolences. Sorry about the loss of your brother. Wow, and genius runs in your family. Clearly, I'm glad you fought for it. And you know what? Definitely know that your late brother's spirit is with you, and you've definitely vindicated him. Whoa. Okay. Wow. A lot. Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let's do 2 minutes break. Let's do 2 minutes break. Yeah. Technovator Sam Gengi in the house. Wow. And with the lawyer, Catherine Puthia. We'll be right back. I have no words.
Stay tuned to The Big Conversation on KBC English Service. You're listening to The Big Conversation on KBC English Service.
And right now, what we have on KBC English Service is a big conversation. The conversation is about the law. It's about workplace innovation. I'm joined by a technovator by the name of Sam Gengi and an advocate of the High Court who is very, very good when it comes to arbitrating for matters like workplace innovation. Her name is Catherine Puthia. And we've talked about Sam's unique case, set a precedent, had profound implications for employers. Now, if we look at HR employers, Kathy, we'll look at job descriptions, creating maybe a formal innovation policy. Tell me, how many employers do you think are aware of what's necessary when it comes to innovations in the workplace?
Okay, so I think when it comes to innovations, there is that assumption that whatever an employee creates belongs to the employer. So in a lot of workplace scenarios, there is no guidance on what happens if, in a case like this one, whereby somebody innovates and it wasn't their job description. So actually in the case we handled, the tribunal noted that in the ruling, and the tribunal shed a lot of light and advised the organization to come up with an all-inclusive innovation policy. So that was one of the recommendations, and perhaps it's for employers to revise their innovation policies, their HR policies, and also the structural issues. When an employee innovates, do you make the application to the HR manager or to the IT manager or to your supervisor? So sometimes lack of structure also creates a problem.
And there should be maybe a reward thing, maybe.
So I think what the Act says is that the two parties should agree on remuneration.
Okay.
But where there's no agreement, market value.
Market value.
Yeah. So they will actually value the prototype or whatever it is, and the employee will be entitled to compensation at that rate. So this thing of giving someone 100K lunch, vacation, how does it compare to the value of what this person has brought in place?
I wonder, it reminds me of that story. And now that I think about it, I'm not even sure whether it was a true story about a certain individual who came up with an idea for mobile money and was given just a smidge of money, like compared to what this innovation has become. I wonder if that person sits and kicks himself like, I took what? I took this for. But you never know. Sam, I'm curious. What do you wish the employer had done differently for you when you came through with this innovation?
Of course, it's my wish that they should have taken up the innovation at that point in time. Why? Because we would have enhanced the efficiency and the effectiveness of my employer. But thinking about it in retrospect, maybe it's also good that they did what they did, because now then we have clarity as to what technovations are, and then also for the first time we've challenged this intellectual property called technovation. Of course, there has never been any other technovation in the Republic filed at the Industrial Property Institute. So of course we are still working with the Kenya Industrial Property Institute to see how best to file it and to protect it. So yeah, of course it's a matter based on my interest and the interest of the country, and I it's good that it went the way it did, because for the greater good than that conflict, that intellectual property conflict has stretched this particular intellectual property, and it's going to bring a lot of awareness amongst employers and employees, so that then we know how to handle innovations. And as I said, that the biggest resource Africa provides to the world are new ideas and innovations.
Indeed. If this were the States, or maybe I watch too many movies, but if this were the States, they would probably name this law after him, right? They'd call it the Sam Gegi law. I don't know. Just throwing out ideas there. I think it's great. You crawled so that others can walk. It was a bad experience, but it turned out to be a blessing, because now you're paving the way for a lot of people who probably would have ended up in a situation like your late brother. Again, apologies for that. Wakili Kathy. So we always say Kenya. Yeah, Kenya is seen as a very tech hub. So a win like this one, what's how significant is the ruling for this case when it comes to Kenyans in tech?
Okay. So I think one thing is that it, personally for me, it restored confidence in our systems, right? Yeah. Like you said, the organization was big, all odds against, right? All odds against. But I really commend the process, the tribunal, and all the processes we went through. And it really restores confidence that yes, IP is upheld in Kenya. And actually, intellectual property is also in the Constitution, Article 40, subsection 5. So for me, that was the thinking. And it was a very technical case in terms of the software he had come up with. It was very complex. And the competence of our courts to actually be able to go through the issues with great competence and expertise, and be able to deliver a very sound judgment. Though I did not agree with them on the valuation, but be that as it may, we didn't come out empty-handed. So I feel like it sort of sheds light on issues of technovation and the little known IP rights in the Act, like inventors' certificates and all that. So I think that's a word to other techies that don't give up on your rights. Get an assessment. If you're not sure, you can get a lawyer to help you with assessment, evaluation, and just go for it, because our systems, this case has shown that our systems at least work.
Our systems do work. Here are a couple of samples from our listeners on social media. We asked if you came up with an innovation that transformed your workplace, who would you say owns it? You, your employer, or both? Vincent Gugi said, I cannot claim partnership with my boss, but I can attribute my input to his success. Vincent, always. Caxton Cheriot says, both, because the employer contributed to your innovation by providing base and resources. There is a nice deep one from Shem Misimo, who said, I would say both, based on Professor Mbithi's statement, I am here because you are there. A little bit of philosophy over there. Final one, James Bin Mlele said, if I invent it, then it's Mlele's invention, not a company's. The company should benefit from it because it gave me the platform for invitation. I think what I'm trying to go through with this, through these comments, is does there exist a possibility of a 50-50 based, okay, let's not say, of just agreeing that, okay, yes, you came up with this idea, we acknowledge it, here's a little something, but also, should we be asked as the employer, we can say, this is our thing. What say you to that, Wakili?
Okay, so the reason we found ourselves in court on this matter is because there was no agreement. Actually, if you look at, I think it's section 104, it says that the employer and the employee should agree on issues to do with remuneration, how much is the employee going to be compensated, and in terms of ownership rights. Okay? So because there was no agreement, and that's what we were trying to push for before going to court, let's sit down and agree on compensation and ownership. Yeah. So in many places like universities, the agreement is already set before even the innovation begins. So I guess that's a thing to discuss when you're an expert and you're going to be employed somewhere. Push for it in your employment contract that, yes, I'm going to innovate this thing, but let's talk about remuneration and ownership. So you can actually agree. And you can even agree on contributions. This is how much I'm contributing. For the employer, this is how much I'm contributing. For the employee, this is the expertise I'm getting. So yes, contracts are very much honored.
It's necessary. Sam, if you could pick one word to describe the journey that you went through up until victory at the courts, doing it not just for you, for the future, doing it for your brother as well. What word would you say could describe the journey that you've been through?
You'll allow me use one word into worth it.
Worth it, and yes, it was. You transformed an organization's way of doing something, made it better, and I'm sure you're not short of ideas, so the next one you come up with, hey, just let me know. I'd like to be a silent partner because I already trust you and your capabilities. So great things. Wakili Catherine Mputhia. Taking on a case like this, one word that could describe the ruling for you, what word would that be?
I'd say novel.
Novel.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good. That's good enough for me. And thank you, Sam, for sharing your story, fighting for what's right. And it shows. And like Wakili Kathy said, we have competent courts. They listen. And if you have a strong case with a great legal team like the one we have here, sky's the limit. More power to you, Samson. By the way, the Sam is short for Samson. I just realized I've been calling you Sam, assuming that some people don't know. Yeah, Technovator himself, Samson Ngegi Njuguna in the house. Amazing advocate of the High Court, Catherine Mputhia. Landmark case I'm sure this one will go down in history if it can be called the Sam Ngegi law. That would be great. You should push for that, Kathy. Maybe. I don't know. Just putting it out there. But thank you so much for coming in this morning, for great stuff that you're doing, and have a fantastic rest of the day. That's what we've been talking about this morning. Technovation. We learned a new word, and if you are working in whatever capacity you are and you come up with an idea, just know that do not shelf it. Follow the right channels, and all shall be well.